What is the dumbest mistake you've made at work? Drove a semi-truck full of mail from Providence to Boston with the trailer door open.
Was giving a presentation to 300 plus people and rested my arm on top of the podium in a spot where there was a button that turned the entire system off, taking approximately 10 minutes to reboot and get my presentation back up. 2 minutes into talking again, I did it again.
This one makes me laugh when I think about it. I was 16 pushing grocery carts outside a grocery store. Lot attendant was my title, and my job was to make sure chaos didn't break out in the parking lot. But I also had some other duties, like taking out trash, emptying ashtrays, and doing a few other little odd jobs around the store. One day, a woman taps me on the shoulder in the store and says, "I'm sorry, but my kid just threw up over that display." She points at this display of Entenmann snack cake that was freestanding in between some aisles, and I can see that this toddler had clearly projectile vomited all over it. There was some on most of the boxes, and I think, I'll handle this. So I scoop up all the boxes, take them out to the dumpster, and throw them all away. And as I'm dusting my hands off and congratulating myself on being so helpful, a manager was like, "What did you just do?" And I said, "I cleaned up a big mess. A kid threw up on everything." And he said, "Yay, but you can't just throw a whole display away. There's a process. Inventory. We have to report these losses." I said, "I push shopping carts, man. I don't know anything about any of that." And he let out a long sigh and said, "This isn't going to be fun for either of us." Then he lowered me by my ankles back into the dumpster, and I had to fish out all the snack cake boxes covered in child vomit, and then learn how to scan them through some kind of computer. And in case you're wondering, I haven't eaten an Entenmann snack cake since.
Not me, but a middle-aged female in another department was unmuted while taking a massive dump and loudly taking a personal call on her cell. All 265 people on the call could hear her answer the phone and start talking about whatever while hearing the distinct sound of pee followed by farts and plops. Despite the CEO and the group directors all calmly at first telling her to please mute before the panic started to set in, she thought she was muted the entire time and had the volume set so low she couldn't hear people yelling at her, so she could instead be on her own call. It was almost 5 minutes into the call when we could hear the toilet paper rolling in the dispenser that she went dead quiet and left the meeting a second later. This was also not a work from home position either.
Large printer, one of those office units. Well, it had a manual switch to go between 220 and 110 voltage. Halfway around the world, and coworker forgot to change the switch to the correct voltage and fried the power supply. It's going to take a week to get a replacement unit, but my coworker need to depart to go to his wedding. So a week later, I fly out to finish this guy's job and install the new unit. I forget to check the voltage and fry it again. Put an adrenaline needle through my thumb. I was basically messing around with return stock at a pharmacy whilst destroying old medication. Our old-fashioned pharmacist owner would always prime the adrenaline injectors and stab them into the wall to get rid of the liquid before disposing of it. I stupidly tried doing this myself one day, but I squeezed the wrong end as I tried to prime it, and it ended up going right through my thumb and out the other side, popping through my thumbnail. Felt like such an idiot. The needle wasn't actually used, it was just out-of-date stock that a patient had returned. I still think about what could have happened quite often nearly 15 years later.
I tattooed a child.